The brand is us together.
Some people might be like, well, what happens if y'all don't work out? I don't think that way.
It's gonna work out.
He's
not going anywhere. This is a life sentence, okay?
If you're sharing a life, you're sharing bodies, you're sharing a home, you're sharing a bed, why aren't you sharing your resources? Because money is a resource.
We put so much emphasis on how much the man makes, not enough on what his financial habits are. You can find a man that makes $500,000 a year that is no better off than a man that maybe makes 80 to 100, but is a good steward of what he has. It's not about the money itself. It's how do you use the money as a tool to create a life that feels fulfilling?
You don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your system. You have independence, you have codependence, and then you have interdependence.
That's why so many relationships don't work, is because we're going in with too much independence. It's such a toxic thing to teach, and we preach it from so young.
Our culture pushing this narrative of I can do bad all by myself. I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. For y'all that don't know, Samantha was a breadwinner for a few years. If you did not marry me back then and you were marrying me now, would you require, one, that we have a prenup, okay? And two, would you then still say, let's put our money together? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, okay, so
be realistic.
My opinion is, we don't believe that the perfect marriage exists.
Facts, but intentional ones do.
And over the years,
we've learned that it takes more than just love to build a life together.
This is the show where we share what's worked for us. This is
The Bailey Way. What's up, family? It's your boy Durelle.
And I'm Samantha.
And this is The Bailey Way. All right, y'all, so I got to jump into this because this video that I just saw online is kind of crazy. You know the one I'm talking about?
I do. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. So it basically is, it's a conversation going on the podcast where this woman pretty much said that she's pretty much comfortable with letting her man go to dinner or to lunch or spend one-on-one time with another woman. She's willing to allow her husband to do that. I have some thoughts about that, but I'm curious to know, as a wife, we've been married for almost 9 years now. I'm curious to know, I feel like I know the answer, but honestly, this is something that we have not talked about. So I'm curious to know, would you be okay with me going to have dinner with somebody that I consider my best friend or like my sis or, somebody I've been, homies with for a while?
No, you're not going to dinner with another woman.
Why?
Except for me. Unless the three of us are going together. I have so many thoughts about this because I do believe that adults can have platonic relationships, but when you get married or when you're in a relationship, the nature of that friendship has to change. And I feel like if you come into a relationship and you're best friends with another woman, green flag would be if that woman tried to make an effort to be just as much my friend as she is yours. A lot of times you don't see that happening, and that's a red flag. I don't think it's a control thing. I think it's a respect thing that once you're in a committed relationship, a man should not be going to a one-on-one dinner with a woman, and a woman should not be going to a one-on-one dinner with a man or spending one-on-one quality time with anyone that's not her husband.
What are your thoughts on the response, which was, well, you just must be an insecure wife because
why? Nothing to do with insecurity.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I think as a wife, I'm not insecure when it comes to you at all, but I do require a certain level of respect. And I think that crosses the line of respect for me and for your relationship.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that it's not about preserving the relationship more than it's about respecting your spouse.
Agree.
I wouldn't even put you in that situation. It's funny because we were out of town a couple of weeks ago and I noticed this, and this happened before, and you pointed out to me, but it happened again. I noticed that a mutual individual that we know, who's a female, you and I were together, and they showed up to the venue, and they came straight to me first, and they did not acknowledge you. And even at that point, I was just like,
I don't like that.
I almost wanted to be like, you see my wife right here. You want to, I think it's important that there are just levels of respect that is necessary in a marriage. I don't even think I honestly would not want to have, friends around me, even guy friends that don't respect my marriage enough. Like, even if like I got a homie who, knows you, there's no reason that he should be texting you directly, or, what I'm saying, what's funny is this happened not that long ago. There was a moment where a friend of mine, and it's gonna sound crazy, but I had to check him, but a friend of mine, who sees you as a who sees you as a sister, went out of his way as I was standing next to you, because he saw something in your hair, and he reached up and he pulled it out of your hair. And he didn't think anything of it because he's single, he's not married. He thinking like, oh, this is my sis or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at him like, bro, have you lost your mind?
Yeah,
like
that just oversteps.
That's overstep. And it's not insecurity. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with respecting the union.
Yeah.
And so.
And having boundaries. Like, there's just certain things that when someone's in a relationship, there are lines that you just don't cross.
Yeah. Yeah, like even as a married man, honestly, I wouldn't even feel comfortable if we had another group. We have a couple friends, but I wouldn't be comfortable like contacting the wife directly. Now, if we're in like a group chat, that's different. We're all there.
Now, okay, so I will say, I think it's different if, for example, we're friends with another couple. Let's say the wife is planning something for me and she wants to surprise me. I think it's different if it's like, hey, Durelle, we really want to do this for Sam. Yeah. Can you help us XYZ? Because I've done that with like some of my friends' husbands. But I think when it comes to like the relationship between a man and a woman outside of the marriage, there's so many boundaries and like red flags there. Yeah,
I think it is imperative that if you are a friend and you have you are, friends with someone who is married, that you learn how to respect that marriage and understand the boundaries that come with that, because that's a responsibility. Even if you were friends before the marriage, y'all could have grew up together. Y'all could have played in a sandbox, went to elementary, middle, and high school together, even college. Once your friend or your sis or your bro gets married, the dynamic of the relationship should change. And I don't mean the dynamic as in like the respect for one another, having a good time, talking about stuff. I mean, 1, transparency. 2, how you can't be calling the house at no 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? You want to hang out, just you and especially if of the opposite sex. There has to be boundaries in place. And
I think if it truly is a platonic relationship or friendship, why can't the wife be involved? Why can't the husband be involved? Why does it have to be one-on-one?
Right. Yeah. And I think she mentioned something like, there's just some things I want to talk about with my friend that I don't want to talk about with my husband.
In my opinion, then why are you married? If you need an extra male friendship relationship, then you shouldn't be married, or you're married to the wrong person, because the person that you are in a committed relationship with, you don't even have to be married, should fill all those voids that you need from a man or from a woman.
Right. And then there's the aspect of making sure your spouse feels comfortable without, like, I would never gaslight you and be like, oh, she's just my friend. Like, why are you tripping? She's just regardless of how I feel about it, you come before even the relationship I have with my parents, my family. So definitely my friends, you know what I'm saying? And so I think, people ask about like what keeps a marriage happy and so on. That's one of the things, making sure that your partner and your spouse is respected and they don't have to worry about being disrespected. It has nothing to do with insecurity. And even if it does have something to do with insecurity, then make sure that they're okay. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that they're good. So anyway, that's our quick thoughts on that.
None of that.
That's our quick thoughts on that. But today's conversation, we want to dive into money and marriage. Obviously, I post a lot of content. I like posting content on how we plan together, how we align ourselves. And I think that when we talk about money and marriage, it becomes a little bit sticky because people have different ways of how they manage money and how they expect money to be managed within a relationship. So let me ask you this before we even dive in. Are you happy with how we manage our finances? And is that something that like you would advise your friends or others to do as well?
Yes, I love the way we do finances. All of our finances are together. We have full transparency into what each other is making, how much we have, savings accounts, our credit cards are together. We do have our separate accounts for our fun money, so he can't see how much I'm spending at Sephora. But other than that, we have full transparency into each other's finances. And I love the way that we do it because I think that it is part of building trust and transparency in your marriage. Finances is such a big piece of your life, and I think your financial life should be one as well.
Yeah, I share like the same perspective because I believe that if you're sharing a life, you're sharing, let's be honest, you're sharing bodies. You're sharing a home, you're sharing a bed, you're sharing children, you're sharing dogs, you're sharing everything. Why aren't you sharing your resources? Because money is a resource. It is not your life, it is a resource. Now, here's what I will say though. I do believe that I'll acknowledge the fact that we got married at 22. I'll acknowledge the fact that we both grew together in our marriage. And so we came into it, both of us making less than $50,000 a year. We were broke, right? And I'm talking about combined when we got married. And so, obviously we grew to the point to where we can enjoy the fruits of our labor together. But I will say this, there was a longitudinal study that was done years ago at the University of Indiana. They chose two groups of people. One group had those who had their finances together. The other group had those who didn't have their finances together. And what the study found is that those who had their finances together had better relationship satisfaction. They had better trust in their relationship. And they made more money. And I was like, I can understand that because when we combine our finances, one, it opened up the conversation not only to what's going on and transparency, but also how we can make more money together. How can we utilize our strengths to build businesses to generate more income, which yields trust because we're working as a team. And so I love the way we do money. And so people might be wondering, what is fun money? And you might want to explain that.
So when we budget out our money, Durelle does all of the budgeting, you guys, and thank God he does because finances are not
if Samantha did the budgeting, y'all, we would be broke. We would be broke because, and we would just have a bunch of stuff to sell. Louis bags, Gucci bags, bracelets and Cartiers.
We would have a lot to show for it.
We would definitely have a lot to show for it.
But I think, so when it comes to fun money, we have money in our budget that we both get allotted to each of us. And that money is for us to buy whatever we want guilt-free.
Yeah. The way we do it is, so all the money that comes in during the month, right? It goes into one bank account, our joint checking account. And that money is split up 4 ways. So we have our fixed costs, which is our bills, our necessities like gas, groceries, stuff like that. That's one sector of it. And then we have our savings, we have our investments, and then we have what we call fun money. And so it's split up in a mathematic way. So the way we have it set up is 50% of our income goes towards fixed costs. Boom, that's taken care of. 15% goes to savings, 15% goes towards investments, and 20% goes towards fun money. And so whatever we want to do with that 20%, we go and do it. Samantha be coming in the house. Yesterday you came in with some YSL glasses. Now my instinct is to be like, wait a minute, why you get? But that ain't my money. I can't tell you what to do with your money. And for us, that has alleviated arguments, that's alleviated any frustrations because we don't have to be like, why is money just disappearing from the joint account for you to go spend it on this, to spend it on that? It's like there is a system for the finances, and I feel like you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. That's a quote I heard, and I think that's what makes this work for us. Now let me ask you this though, and this is obviously hypothetical because we have never experienced this. If you did not marry me back then and you were marrying me now, for y'all that don't know, Samantha was a breadwinner for a few years, right? Like I was coming up in the ranks in the military, but Samantha went into a great corporate job. She was making money. You were like on the ladder to become like an executive, a CEO, and you already have that mindset, that grit. Also, you wanted to go to law school and all that other stuff. So if you were in that position today, we just met, we started dating, you fall in love with me. Would you require, one, that we have a prenup, okay? And two, would you then still say, let's put our money together? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, okay. So
Be realistic.
My opinion of prenups has changed because obviously we got married at 22, so I can't speak from personal experience, but hypothetically, this is where I think prenups are important.
Okay.
When you're coming into a relationship and you already have things that you've built on your own, maybe you've purchased property, you have investments, you have savings, whatever. Your prenup should protect those things.
Yeah.
Anything earned, purchased, invested in from the point that you get married, I think belongs to both of you. Whether one is making more money than the other, whether one stays at home and the other does, is the breadwinner, which is our situation. After you get married, everything belongs to both of you.
So what you're saying is do the prenup because you've worked for all of this. And if something were to happen, a divorce, because it happens all the time.
You leave with what you came with.
Infidelity, all that stuff. You leave with you're protected.
Yeah.
But you're saying though, after you get married, you should combine your finances.
Yes. I think you should combine your finances. Why? Just because I think it creates a level of trust and transparency in the marriage. And I think that your financial life is such a big part of building your future together that I guess I don't understand how that happens when you have separate bank accounts. I think that part of getting married is having a level of trust in each other. And I think that finances play a huge role in that.
I agree to a certain extent, I'll say. I think it depends on, I know some people, for example, who have, commented on our stuff and they're like, I could never, trust again because twice my spouse took my money and ran. Or, I've been in a situation to where, not me personally, but speaking for somebody else sharing their experiences, they've been in a situation where, money was stolen from them or taken from them or it wasn't managed properly. And so I can understand somebody coming in and being like, listen, I'm okay with getting married, but we got to keep our own situations as far as our money goes. But we agree to pay these specific bills. I can understand that. I will say what I would advise is everybody's relationship is different. Our way is not the way.
Yeah.
It is statistically proven to be better though, right? But it's not the way. And I think people come in with their experiences. I just want, for the viewers out there, I don't want them to feel condemned for or feel bad about like not combining their finances and feel like something's wrong. The most important thing is being aligned. If you guys find a way to make sure you're aligned with each other and there is a level of trust there, then that's what matters at the end of the day. If you ask me my opinion on what I think you should do, my instinct is just to tell you to join your finances together. But the truth is it depends on the maturity and the level of understanding that other person has, right?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the reason that people don't combine their finances comes down to them feeling like they have to protect something. So I think that raises bigger questions for me in the marriage and things that I think you need to work through as a couple. Why can't we blend our finances? I don't think it has anything to do with the finances themselves. I think it has to do with trust. It has to do with protection. It has to do with maybe some past trauma. And I think that not combining your finances is a way to just say, okay, we don't have to address the real issues. These things. This is just the easy way. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. And I understand that works for some people, but I do think when you combine your finances, you are unlocking a level of trust and transparency that only makes your relationship stronger.
That's an interesting perspective. Okay, y'all gotta let us know in the comments what y'all think about that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this real quick. And I know you got some questions.
I have so many questions for you.
I want to ask you this because we got married young. I want to speak to like our younger audience, like those who are thinking about getting married, but they're afraid of commitment, or the men or women too, who feel like they need to have it all before they step into a marriage. They need to have their finances at a certain point. what is your advice to them? But also, like, do you think it is beneficial getting married young? And should more young people get married and starting their life? Or like RVFU says, find your wife and build your life.
I think that there are so many advantages to getting married young in life. I think that what happens is we have social media, we have all of these things that makes people feel like they have options and like they have a lot of time to find somebody. And I think that what happens is down the road, you end up regretting not making that commitment earlier in your life.
If you had the opportunity
to, because you have all the things. You have the money, you have the status, you have the career, but you have no one to share it with. Yeah. And I think that we've been really blessed in that way, that we met each other so young. So we had that and we built together. And I think there is so much strength in building your life together versus focusing on building by yourself and then finding somebody later.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you say to that?
I would say, like, I think
especially for men, because I think that, and not to cut you off, but just to kind of expand on the question, I think that a lot of times women typically want to settle down before men. So what would you say to men that are like, you know, I want to have it all together, or maybe feel like they have options when they're younger and don't want to settle down?
That's a really good question. For me, like, I knew that if I had you by my side, we can accomplish some amazing things together. And so I think, like, we have to change the mindset of just individualism, and we can do it by ourselves. We can make it happen on our own. The truth is when two or more are gathered, you can accomplish a lot more. That's not just biblical, but just literal. Like, you can accomplish a lot more. And I feel like we need to get away from this mindset of, I need to have this, I need to have that. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the pressure comes from society and social media telling you that a woman only wants a man with a 6-figure salary or a 7-figure salary, right? But that's not every woman. And so you're taking advice from one perspective, right? And then you end up in a situation where you're on a date with a girl and you don't let it get anywhere because you're thinking, like, I need to have this amount of money. I'm not ready for her or whatever. When she might be just excited that, one, you're emotionally available. You're mature. That's what she's looking for, right? And so I feel like we cut ourselves off from opportunities because we're so fixated on trying to make a certain income, while God is saying, look, when you find a wife, you find a good thing and obtaineth favor from the Lord. And so that favor is not only going to help you get to where you want to go, but you're going to do it with somebody, and that's going to mean something. You know what I mean? And so my advice is, do not follow the narrative of you need all of this to, you know what I'm saying, to go and get you a woman to build it with. You know, build that when you're young. I'm so glad we did. You know what I mean?
And that's what I would want for our kids too. I feel so strongly about it that I think but parents put so much emphasis on their kids to find their career, become successful. I think there should be just as much emphasis on find somebody that you love, that you can build a life with.
Absolutely.
But to the just to expand on what you were saying, I think we put so much emphasis on how much the man makes, not enough on what his financial habits are. Because you can find a man that makes $500,000 a year that is no better off than a man that maybe makes 80 to 100, but is a good steward of what he has and has a lot of financial discipline. So I think that if I were dating today, you know, obviously you want to know what somebody makes, but I think more than that, I would want to know, like, how are you with your finances? Are you reckless with your money? Are you smart with your money?
Do you have a plan to increase?
Do you have a plan? Yeah. So I think those conversations are important to have too.
No, I 100% agree. It's funny because I feel like I've never worried about, like, my income with you. I never worried about, like, how much I was making, or, you know, am I you know, worthy enough for you because of my status. I think that more so came from us just building together and just being each other's, you know, cheerleader. And so one of the things that, you know, I was, you know, studying for becoming a physician, and one of the things that I learned about in psychology was there's this scientist by the name of Erik Erikson, and he has this theory of psychosocial development. And it's these 8 stages you go through. And by the time you get through to the last stage in your life, I think it's between the ages of 65 and upwards, like when you're like pretty much settled down, you got whatever you got, there's this conflict you have to resolve called integrity versus despair. And that's when you are looking over your life and you are either one, really happy with what choices you've made, what sacrifices you made, the relationships you're built, or you're in despair and you're like, you're miserable. You realize that you missed out on opportunities. You didn't get married. You didn't, do the proposal. You didn't go after the job or the opportunity. And that's where you'll see a stark difference between the elderly who are like really, mean and grumpy and the ones who are very content. And they're happy to see their grandchildren. They're happy to, they're happy to give you advice. And I think there's something to be said there. We have to start thinking about the decisions that we're making today that's going to impact how we feel later on. And that's not just in the areas of finance, but that's in the areas of finding a life partner to build with. You don't want to get to that point in your life and look back and be like, why did I fumble the bag? Why didn't I just commit to this woman or to this man that was adding so much value to me, but I was so focused on this or that I missed it.
Yep. And you miss out on a good thing because you're chasing something else.
Because you're chasing something else. We need to start putting emphasis more on peace, contentment, happiness, and potential rather than the full package.
Yep.
Because you going after the full package, one, it rarely ever comes with a lot of baggage, right? Because somebody can have a 7-figure salary, but a whole lot of baggage behind it that you also have to carry. But two, is it going to be fulfilling?
Right.
How long are you going to be happy with just going on vacations when you feel like it, or having the bags that you want, that's cool. What about the connection?
Yeah.
What
about, so for men that have worked hard, they have established themselves, they have the careers. I think women so often talk about how hard it is to find a man. Do you think that men also have struggles in finding a good woman once they are established and once they've done all the work, they've put in the work for their career, they feel like they're finally ready?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's hard for them?
I have friends who tell me right now, like, bro, ain't nothing out here. You know what I'm saying? It is kind of difficult. And I can't necessarily speak, because obviously I'm not in the dating world. But the truth is that, people say like, oh, well, men have more options. And there's, you got all these beautiful women out here. But I think that for men, once you reach a certain point, like I got the money, I got my career, I got all these things. Now you're looking for a woman not only to add value, but to add peace, for it to make sense, like for it to be like, like I actually really like you. You're not just beautiful. Yeah. You don't have all the beauty, but we can literally sit and talk till 3 o'clock in the morning and I not get tired, wake up and continue the conversation. You know what I mean? And so I think like for men, that's what they're really looking for, who have reached that point. And so I think it's tough for both, though. I think it's tough for both. But my thing is, I just hate that we live in a society where it's like, you can do bad all by yourself. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember? So last week, or 2 weeks ago, we were in Miami for Food and Wine Festival. And Fat Joe got on stage and he was like, shout out to my daughter, which she's amazing. Clearly, she's doing some incredible things. She got her podcast. She got, you know what I'm saying, some things going. He was like, shout out to my daughter, who is, I believe she's like in her early 20s or late teens. Yeah, 19. She was like, shout out to my daughter. She just bought her first home. She got her podcast going. She's running her businesses. She's making it happen. And I was like, shout out to her. Let's go. And then he went on to say something to the nature of, and I'm paraphrasing here, she was like, see, I'm trying to teach her that you don't need no man. And that for me, I almost wanted to be like, Fat Joe, no, don't teach her that. Don't teach her that, because you're married. You get to go through life with somebody. And you should want that for your daughter. And so our culture pushing this narrative of I can do bad all by myself. I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. That's why I like that one a little bit better, because now you're not only succeeding, but you're happy succeeding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that to me, it's such a toxic thing to teach. And we preach it from so young. That's the problem. It's like,
and it's only in our culture.
and it's only in our culture. I know. And I think that's also what's taking away from the value of family, because there is something I think so impactful, fulfilling, beautiful about having somebody that you do depend on.
Yeah.
Like the roles that we have in our marriage now have shifted so much to where we've stepped into me being more of a nurturer and taking care of the home because I don't have to go work a 9 to 5 anymore. And you really taking on a provider role. And I think we have found so much fulfillment in our marriage because we have these roles and we depend on each other to play those roles to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and I think the paradigm needs to shift because some people may look at you being a nurturer and taking care of a home as less fundamentally important than me providing, when in fact I couldn't provide the way that I do if you weren't doing what you were doing. You know what I mean?
And I couldn't nurture the home
if I wasn't right. So it's a symbiotic relationship, and it's not that one is less or greater than the other. It's we are one at the end of the day, and we're just doing our part. And so I think like we need to like get rid of this attitude of independence, Miss Independent. No, forget that. Nice song, love the song, but we need to get to a point, and we talked about this the other day on social media, this concept of interdependence.
Yeah.
So you have independence, you have codependence, and then you have interdependence.
Yep.
Independence is obviously I can do what I need to do. I don't need nobody. I don't need no man. I don't need no family. I got this, right?
Yeah.
Codependence is I'm literally depending on you to come pick me up in order for me to make my money. I need you to come pick me up to take me to work. If you don't come pick me up to take me to work, I can't make no money.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas an independent person be like, I don't need you to give me nowhere. I'll take the bus. I will walk. I will get on a bike before I ever depend on you.
It's like, I don't need you at all. Codependence is I need you too much.
I need you too much.
Yeah.
Interdependence is I value what we have, and we have a healthy relationship, but I don't require you to make me happy. I don't require you to make me fulfilled. I don't put that pressure on you. It's we work as in unison because we are intertwined and we're interdependent on each other. Like if you were to walk out of the circle, I would feel that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in codependence, if you walk out of the circle, it breaks me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In independence, you walk out of the circle, bye.
Yeah.
My circle's still going.
Yeah. And I think that's why so many relationships don't work, is because we're going in with too much independence.
Yeah.
And we need to just let our guards down and be more interdependent on each other and have a healthy reliance on each other.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where getting back to finances, where it makes it easier to create a plan when you are interdependent because you're now aligned with one another. People ask us like, how do we get to this point to where, we've reached whatever version of success it looks like from the outside looking in. I feel like we were very successful. When people ask how we've gotten to this point, the truth is that we've gotten here because we sit down and we plan every year. Yeah. Like we're literally on the same page there. We have weekly life meetings, and people may say, "Oh, you run your marriage like a business." No, we run our marriage strategically, right? To get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And we are on the same page.
Yeah.
Those are all factors of interdependence.
Yeah. And I think when we are planning, going back to the point of having everything together, it's not okay, what are you going to do financially and what am I going to do financially? It's what are we going to do together to move the family forward,
right?
The household forward.
Right.
And to that point too, I think even when it comes to bills, it's not, okay, well, you pay for this, I pay for that. If we're going to dinner tonight, you're going to pay and I'll pay for the trips. It's everything is us together.
Everything is us.
Everything is us together.
Yeah.
And I think, to each their own. I think everybody has to do what's good, what's best for them.
Yeah.
But there is something very fulfilling about joining.
For sure.
Together.
And I think that mindset is visible to other people. Yeah. Like people, I remember I was in Miami, and we had one of my friends got engaged at the time, and I had just met his fiance.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we talked. I was excited to meet her because he had been bragging on her like this, and I'm like, if you were bragging on her, you about to marry her. That makes me really excited, right? And I met her, And I don't even really remember so much of the conversation. I just knew that one, she would be great friends with you, and now y'all are
And
really
I
good
love her.
friends.
That's my best friend.
Yep. But when we were talking later on, like a couple months later, she had reminded me, she was like, you know what I noticed about you when we sat down and talked? She was like, within the first 3 words you said, you mentioned your wife at least 4 times.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, no, you'll be surprised. Like, a lot of husbands don't even mention their wife, don't even. And I feel like we are so aligned with one another that I rarely use the words like me, I, or whatever. It's normally
Everything
our.
is we,
You know what I'm
our,
saying?
together. Yeah.
Even on my Instagram page, it is my Instagram page. You're in a lot of my content. I can say it's my page, it's this and that. No, it's us.
Yeah, the brand is us together.
It's us together. And some people might be like, well, what happens if y'all don't work out? I don't think that way.
It's gonna work out.
It's
He's not going anywhere.
She
This
was
is a
like-
life sentence, okay? I hate when people say that. Like, we were on Anthony O'Neill's podcast a few weeks ago, and he asked about like you know how women will have like a stash.
Oh yeah,
just in
stash to the
case,
side,
an
just in case
emergency
something
fund,
happens.
just in case things don't.
Yeah,
work
what's your
out.
stash looking like?
And I was like, no, I don't have that because we're not going anywhere. That is not a reality for us.
I'm just gonna take the hint on that, y'all. I'm gonna take the hint.
I was like, a Sephora fund? And he was like, no, just in case like things don't work out and you gotta dip out. And I was like, oh no, I don't worry about that.
Yeah, nah, definitely not worried about that. But again, it goes back to how aligned we are. You know what I'm saying?
And finances play a huge role in that alignment.
Yeah.
I think you go through different phases in your marriage, and you know, having a home together is one, finances is one, the way you raise your kids together is one. And I just think that alignment and transparency builds a level of trust.
Yeah.
That brings a closeness to your relationship.
Also, and to close this out here, also I feel like finances and money is one of the top reasons for divorce right now. But we have to remind each other that money is a tool. It is a resource. It is incredibly important, right?
Yeah.
People say, you know, money is the root of all evil. No, the love of money is the root of all evil. You cannot love money more than you love God and love your family. That's the thing. So money is important, but money is a resource. And as long as you can talk about how you want to utilize that resource and make sure that it remains a resource and not a god or an idol, then you will be just fine in your marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do think that a lot of times we almost put the value of money over the spouse.
Yeah.
We put the lifestyle over the value of just the relationship that you're in.
Yeah. When in fact, like if the relationship wasn't there, it's not even as exciting.
Yeah.
Like when I get these like brand partnerships and opportunities where I know I'm about to get a big check, if I didn't have you to share that with, it wouldn't be that exciting. I'd be like, all right, let's go. I got some more bread, but I want to call somebody, and you were the first person that I'm like, babe, I tell you, we got this much coming in. You know what I'm saying?
And I think for us too, and I pray about this and I talk to God about this a lot, going back to the love of money. It's not that we love money. We love the life that it can provide for our family and the peace that we're able to have because we've, been good stewards of what we have, and the life that we're going to be able to provide to our children.
Right.
Because so it's, to your point, that was so good. It's not about the money itself. It's how do you use the money as a tool to create a life that feels fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, I just want to plug this. God will bless your finances when your heart posture is right.
There's so much scripture that talks about wealth. God wants to give us wealth. He wants us to be wealthy.
Right.
But you have to earn it.
Your heart has to be in the right way. Your heart. The Bible says in John 15, it says, if you abide in me and I in you, you can ask anything in my name and I will, and you would. But people just skip over that part where it says you have to abide in me. Right. And that's the part that I feel like we have worked on for years, like strengthen our relationship with God. And what that has done, it has changed us.
Yeah.
Like I love to give like that. It is so fulfilling to give. And when you are a giver, when you want to bless and help people, you just look, people want to know what's the secret to wealth. Try giving.
Yeah.
Try giving. Try giving. Not because you want more money, but give because you want to see somebody be better.
Be a joyful giver.
Be a cheerful giver.
And never let your left hand know what your right hand is doing.
Oh, that's
give
good one.
quietly.
Yeah.
And it says that in the Bible. You get so many people that on social media, you know, they'll record them taking money to this person, that person, and their heart isn't in the right place because I'm not giving this to you quietly just to go and help you and to bless you in the name of God. I'm doing this because this looks good for the brand.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, man, those are our thoughts on money.
Money.
Yeah.
I wore green today for money.
You did wear green. I got a little doo-doo brown on, but you know, it works out. But listen, guys, make sure if you like this episode, comment, subscribe. Please make sure that you subscribe so that you can see all of our episodes when they come out. We are just getting the journey started again. And so you are with us for the ride, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week, fam.